Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. I'm Cody Proctor. For the first time, we're hearing from the loved ones of the family who passed after a fire engulfed their home last weekend. Since then, they've seen an incredible outpouring from the community, and they're finding memories they thought they'd lost.
For the most part,
a wedding album salvaged.
They were that happy last week. 15 years later, they were still just absolutely.
He adored her, and he was the one for her.
Lawrence Lund and his wife found the album from their daughter Ariel's wedding to Robert Desoleil days after a fire took the lives of the family. Robert and Ariel died last weekend. Their sons, Christopher and Aiden, passed on Wednesday. Lund remembers them as a family with a lot of love.
But it was a very, very loving and kind family. Everybody who ever met him always enjoyed him. Always had a joke, always had a good thing to say.
According to the Spokane Fire Department, an electrical malfunction caused the fire. Investigators say they found an extension cord in place of permanent wiring. According to Lund, the investigators told him the cord dated back to the late 60s, way before the family moved in. Instead, he says it wasn't until they got video from North Central High across the street that fire crews found out where the fire started.
And that's when they said, okay, now we got to start. And they went and looked at it. And I even mentioned something about, the house was inspected before they bought it. But the inspector said, if we hadn't had that footage, we never would have found it.
Now, days later, he and his family are adjusting to the loss. One thing that gives him a little peace is knowing the family was together at the end.
Since it was a cold night, they were all sleeping in the same bed. And so they were a happy family right up till they went to sleep.
Lund says he's also been surprised and thankful about the community outreach.
There's no words in the English language that I can come up with to thank the people for their outreach. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. It's really boosted my faith in humanity again.
And while there's still a lot for Lund and his family to do, these photos, survivors of the fire, will hopefully bring some healing. And I really want to take a moment to also thank Lund for welcoming me into his home and telling me more about the story about his daughter and her family. Now, he and the rest of the family says they'd also like to thank the Spokane Fire Department for their efforts in trying to save the family. And if you would like to help, a GoFundMe has been started. You can find that information on our website, krem.com. Let's turn now to Nightbeat for a quick look at the day's top stories. The Spokane police are looking to identify this man right here. He's accused of robbing a business in the Lincoln Heights Village Shopping Center on 29th Avenue in Spokane back on April 19th around 9:30 in the evening. According to police, the man walked in and demanded money from store employees, implying he had a gun. Now, he's described as a man in his mid-40s. He had what appeared to be a graying goatee, wearing a dark-colored beanie, gray button-up shirt, dark unzipped jacket, and if you recognize him, you're asked to call Crime Check at the number on your screen. A North Idaho woman has lost everything after her home burned down. Trina Wallace has been a nursing assistant in the area for 3 decades, but earlier this week, an electrical fire destroyed her mobile home. Wallace says the fire sparked from her freezer's outlet. She spent yesterday disposing of truckloads of burnt debris and is now staying as a small camper on her property. While it is a roof over her head, Wallace says she's overwhelmed with how much she needs to replace, especially since her mobile home wasn't insured.
Everything else just melted. I went up to the grocery store and that was hard. Every aisle I walked down, I could see stuff that I had plenty of.
Now, a GoFundMe is now live right now to help raise money to help Wallace rebuild. Well, today wrapped up the 3rd week in the triple murder trial of Chad Daybell. He stands accused of killing and conspiring to kill his former wife and his current wife's kids, JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Friends of Chad and Tammy Daybell testified about Tammy's death back in October of 2019 and Chad's behavior afterwards.
And what did Chad tell you about his wife Lori's children and where they were?
He looked me straight in the eye and he told me that they were okay, and when this all was going to be, when everything came out, that everything was going to be just fine.
Friends testified they were surprised that Chad and his kids didn't want an autopsy, and they were concerned Chad wanted to rush a funeral just a couple of days after Tammy's death. Court will pick back up Monday with a witness the prosecution says will be lengthy. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website, KREM.com. Well, tracking national headlines right now, yesterday's surprising reversal of Harvey Weinstein's 2020 sexual assault conviction is sparking fierce reaction. His lawyer says Weinstein didn't receive a fair trial, but those who helped launch the Me Too movement are outraged. While the disgraced movie mogul remains in prison serving a 16-year sentence from a California case, New York's district attorney has indicated he will retry the convicted rapist. Ashley Judd, the first actress to come forward with allegations of sexual harassment against Weinstein, said the prospect of alleged victims having to take the stand again is a tall ask for them.
Courtrooms are not healing spaces. They are traumatizing spaces. And victims should not have to perform their trauma in order to find peace. You know, what will give us satisfaction and peace is when men stop raping women, period.
In overturning the 2020 conviction, the New York Appeals Court ruled 4-3 that alleged victims who weren't involved in the charges against Weinstein should not have been allowed to testify during the trial. Well, tomorrow is National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day. That initiative provides a safe and anonymous way to dispose of prescription medications. The DEA and local law enforcement agencies will have several locations available across eastern Washington and North Idaho. To find a drop-off location closest to you, just head to our website, KREM.com. In the meantime, as we take a look at your forecast, we saw some sunshine here and there, but as we head into the weekend, well, let's go to meteorologist Michelle Boss to find out how things are shaping up.
Yeah, we had sprinkles around the inland northwest today. You might have encountered them out and about this afternoon, but ended up high and dry at the Spokane airport. So 0 measurable rainfall. And as we take a look at satellite and radar, still have a few lingering showers. Those should continue to dissipate during the overnight hours, but could pop back up tomorrow. 57 right now, quite a bit warmer than the surrounding area here in Spokane. 7 degrees cooler in Coeur d'Alene, in the 40s in Deer Park and Sandpoint and across the Palouse. Lower 50s across central Washington. So Spokane just kind of hanging on to the heat a little bit better this evening. Short-term forecast keeps us dry overnight. It should be dry tomorrow morning, but don't be surprised to see a few showers pop up tomorrow afternoon. Since we could see a few sun breaks, temperatures should climb up to around 60 again. And Sunday, I think we'll see mostly cloudy skies, but other than maybe a sprinkle, I think Sunday is going to be a dry day, but a little bit on the breezy side, gusts to 25 miles per hour.
Michelle, thanks so much. In Northwest headlines tonight, the opioid epidemic in western Washington has taken a tragic turn. Over the past week, 3 infants overdosed from fentanyl poisoning in just 5 days. One of them died, and that child was just a little more than a year old. Over the span of 5 days, firefighters responded to 3 fentanyl poisonings of infants. The first on April 20th, where an 11-month-old was found unresponsive by parents. The child survived after receiving Narcan. Meanwhile, a 6-month-old remains hospitalized after being exposed. They're in stable condition tonight. That same day, a 13-month-old child died. One doctor who treats pregnant women struggling with addiction says it's important for parents to know through medical-assisted drug treatment, there are a lot of options to get clean.
We can do this without a lot of discomfort, without a lot of disruption, without obviously the involvement of any authorities, and we can do it in a way that they want to.
No charges have been filed against either parent at this point because the investigation is ongoing. A baffling crime near the Oregon coast killed thousands of young Chinook salmon. Authorities say a man broke into a fish hatchery and poured bleach into their holding pond. Volunteers had worked for almost a year to get the salmon ready for the wild when, on Sunday, they discovered between 18 and 20,000 of them dead.
I knew something was seriously wrong, and then when I looked in and saw them all dead, I wanted to cry, and then I wanted to, I got mad too. It's like, what happened here,
Authorities caught the suspect a few days later outside the hatchery entrance. Police say he told them he was high on marijuana at the time. The 22-year-old faces several charges, including poaching, burglary, and trespassing. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.